Hey, it's Molly again. Welcome back. This is part 2 of a 4-part video series all about the fundamentals that every dog trainer needs to know in order to be able to succeed in any situation. In part 1, we talked all about the 3 main things that set apart dog trainers that are successful and doing fine and adapting and growing, even despite any kind of things that get thrown their way, and the ones that are struggling. And the first thing of those 3 things was figuring out exactly who your ideal client is and how they think. What attracts them, what influences them, what makes them want to sign up, all of those things. So we talked all about that in video 1. If you haven't watched that yet, go back and watch part 1 first. I'll be here waiting, and then we will continue on with the next of those 3 things. In this part, we're going to talk about the second of those 3 things, which is how you communicate with your ideal clients or your potential clients. And when I say communicate, I mean everything you say, all the words that come out of your mouth or that they read. Your website content, your emails, when they contact you, your sales process, all of the words that come out of you in communicating with your potential clients. So you can imagine, if it includes all of those things, you can imagine how important that is, that if you mess this up, you won't be nearly as appealing to the public, or especially the people that you most want to work with. And as you can also imagine, if you have these skills, you'll be confident that you can handle anything, even all the major changes that might happen in your personal life or external things that you can't control. For example, remember the wood floor story that I started in part 1 of these videos? I was telling you all about how we got all of these wood floors delivered, and we had to figure out how to get them from the street into the house. It didn't stop there. Once we got all the wood into the house, the story continued, where we had this installer scheduled to come a little while later to install these wood floors. And we had sent him all the specs. He had seen pictures. He knew exactly what we were installing. We showed it to him when he came over to give us a quote originally. So everything was all set to go. And in preparation for him to come, we tore out the kitchen and we pulled up all of the floors, got rid of all of the tile, just cleaned all of the floors. So it was down to the concrete slab with still bits of glue and everything everywhere. We had to rent a concrete sander thing to get all the glue off. It was just an absolute disaster, horrible nightmare, getting all this stuff cleaned out. So we did all of this and we're down to the concrete slab. And the night before he was supposed to come to install the wood floors, he told us that he actually decided that he was not qualified to do this project, that it wouldn't turn out as well as he would like for him to do it because he wasn't familiar with it enough. And even though he had already seen all the specs and seen the wood and knew exactly what it was beforehand. I had to get back in the shade. I was running out of shade. So anyway, at that point, after we did some ranting and raving about the circumstances surrounding this impossible situation again, we had a choice to make. We could either spend weeks finding a new person while we had no floor and no kitchen until we could get another installer, or we could become floor installers and do it ourselves. So we had never done a job like this before, but we decided we didn't really have another choice. That was the only thing that we could really do under the circumstances. So we spent the whole day researching and watching YouTube videos on how to install hardwood floors, glue them down. And although we had never installed wood floors before, we decided to take it on for a couple reasons. Number 1, we really didn't have a choice. We had to do it or we would spend more weeks without a kitchen, which isn't cool when you work from home and you have 3 kids. We were already doing a camp kitchen outside, and it was going to be not fun to keep doing that for much longer. Plus, the second thing is that we had the foundation knowledge and experience from other house projects that we had done in the past. And we had done similar things before. We hadn't done wood floor installations, but we had done tile and a bunch of other things. We knew our way around the Home Depot pretty well. So we decided that we were hardworking and determined, and that whatever we didn't know, we could learn, and we would just figure it out. So we asked a few friends, some contractor friends, for advice. Like I said, we watched YouTube videos, and we just got started the next day figuring it out. And that's exactly why some trainers have been doing fine. They thought, well, wow, this is different. This is a little bit scary, but I can figure this out. I figured out other obstacles in the past, and I'll just figure it out. So some of my clients, the ones that I coach privately, they get in touch, they'd call me and they were really concerned, and they were like, but when I started asking questions about how things were going in their business, I'd find out that they were booked out for weeks or months anyway, despite all of the circumstances, even with high-end clients, and they seemed that they just wanted reassurance that they were going to be fine. So I'd give them that reassurance. You know what to do, you know how to figure this out, I'll help you figure it out and the specifics of what you need to do. But they had that confidence, again, like we talked about in video 1, that confidence and that instinct to draw from because of their knowledge about how to attract clients. Those fundamental things, the foundation things that never change, that are just timeless, that you can use, and those principles to apply to any situation or any circumstances or any changes or obstacles that you face in your business. Okay, I switched spots again because it started raining on us, and as soon as we moved, the sun came back out. This is the kind of thing you have to deal with when you're recording videos. Again, we were talking about the main things, the big three things that people who are succeeding and people who are struggling, the things they do differently. And there were three things that I mentioned in part one. And the first one was identifying and figuring out the minds of your ideal clients. In this part, we're talking about the second thing, which is how you communicate with your ideal clients, all the things that you say. So when it comes to communicating really well with your ideal clients, that involves all of the things surrounding how you describe what you offer, how you talk about the value of what you do. And here are the main things that the successful dog trainers do differently. They don't just talk about what they do as far as what's included and the processes and the commands that they're going to teach and the actual things. They focus instead on in their communication on the benefits and the outcomes that the owner will experience, the actual impact on their lives. So I always talk about the difference between the way you communicate with your ideal clients having to do with talking about what you do versus what they get. It's not about what you do, it's about what they get in the end, the actual outcome and the benefits. So what I have for you for this particular part of these videos is a worksheet that will help you change what you currently offer, like keeping everything the same, even if you just did everything the same. If you just make this one change, it will make a huge difference in how many people contact you, the kind of clients you get, the quality of clients you get, how much you can charge, how many of your prospects sign up, all of those things. You take what you currently offer, instead of describing the things that are included in the package or the program, you change it and talk about the things that they get as an outcome. You'll take a feature, let's say you're going to teach a particular command. You can teach a dog to sit or to come. Instead of just saying, we'll teach this thing, you're going to shift that and talk about the thing that they get in the end because of that. So it seems like a really simple exercise, and maybe even, more detail than you normally would get into, saying, I'm going to teach sit. And instead of just saying, we'll teach your dog to sit, you say, we'll teach your dog to sit so that you have this benefit. Your dog stays in one spot while you open the door and doesn't embarrass you when people walk in or when you have guests come over. Things like that. You want to really nail down exactly what the benefit and the outcome for the owner, the impact on their lives, what those things are for each thing that you have included in your program. So there are three things that your ideal clients will typically find valuable. Things that either make the entire process easier and faster and more convenient, things that give them peace of mind, and things that make a better result. In other words, a better outcome. The actual result is better. So anything that you include in your packages that fall under those categories will be things that your clients will value, but you need to know how to communicate that value. So what I have also in your worksheet is a couple of before and after examples. This is typically how dog trainers will describe their services. This is a better version. Same thing, same information, but just explained better so they can have that kind of picture painted for them of the transformation their lives that they'll experience by having their dog listen to them. It impacts so much of the way your ideal clients think when you paint that picture for them. They feel much more understood. They can visualize how things will go. It really just, they just completely understand why it's worth spending the money instead of saying, I'm going to get this many lessons and this many commands and here's the list of commands. It turns from a list of things into an actual experience of something that they want and an experience of losing problems that they don't want. So the more you really clearly communicate that in especially your written communication, your website content, the descriptions of your programs and your packages and your services, it just affects everything. The better you are at communicating those things. Once I asked a group of trainers what they would do, it was during a live event that I was having, I asked them what they would do if their business didn't succeed, what that would mean for them, what they would do if that happened, if they didn't succeed. And I expected to get answers like, oh, I'll have to go back to my corporate job and those kinds of answers. But the answers that I got was really surprising and enlightening to me, their reaction. They all just sat there and they looked at each other confused. What do you mean not succeed? It's just not an option. I have to succeed. There is no going back. All the bridges are burned. I'm going forward. That's the only choice. And I was so proud in that moment that was their attitude, because I think that's the attitude that all of us need to have, no matter what obstacles or issues or personal things that happen in our lives that get thrown at us that impact our businesses and impact our everyday lives, we have to have that attitude that there is no going back. You just keep moving forward. You figure it out. And as long as you have that attitude, you can overcome all of these things that are getting thrown at you right now. But they were able to have that committed attitude because they were learning the same fundamentals from me that you are right now. So they could be committed and they could look forward to the future and say, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going and not give up. So just like us with that challenge with the installing the wood floors on our own, eventually we got it done. You know, it took a couple of weeks of working nonstop from morning to night. And, you know, I did all the mathematical stuff. I know how to square a room and use a chalk line now. And Jason did all the heavy lifting and we got all the wood floors in and they looked amazing. And now we had this new skill that we never expected that we would ever need. And no matter what's going on for you in your business, you can succeed just as much. You can have the business that you want exactly the way you want it, whether you're a one-person show like I was for many years in my dog training business, or you want to have a big thriving company with employees or whatever it is that you want. You can have all those things. And I know that about you because I have seen it happen so many times. And having worked with trainers for so many years and being part of a Facebook group with more than 7,000 trainers in it and talking about marketing all the time, I have seen it happen so often. I know exactly what you need to do and I know you can do it just as well as anybody else. So whatever your dream business is, you're going to be learning all the fundamentals that you need in order to get there and stay there. So keep a lookout for part 3 of these videos, because in that we're going to be talking about how you, in person especially, communicate with people, how you actually talk to people, not just the words that you use like we were talking about in this video, but your actual, how you relate to people and how you interact with them. Because even if your marketing is like the gold standard for marketing, it'll be really hard for you to get as many clients as you want and the type of clients that you want if people have a hard time relating to you or trusting you or believing you or liking you or any of those things. So we're going to be talking a lot about that in the next video, and keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, make sure you post comments and questions for me down below so I can help you along the way with applying this. Make sure you download the worksheet that goes with this video, and I will see you in the next part.